Hello everyone, welcome to Byte of Biology. It's Miss Hamblen. I just wanted to say hi, put my sunglasses on because I am outside in the ecosystem of my backyard. Because, as you can imagine, that's what we're talking about today. Yay! Today's class is all about what is ecology. I'm going to go through some vocab with you, just breeze through it before we get into our activity for today. So, when we think of the word ecology, you should be thinking of, we break it down, eco and logy, okay? Or ology, technically. The ology is always meaning the study of, and then the ecosystems, that's referring to the breakdown of like the E being like the everything that's included, and then the co is like the intermixed relationship of everything that's studied. So basically, everything in the ecosystem and how it relates to one another. So an ecologist looks at how one organism changes whenever something is altered or varied. So what's the measurement of how the population of lizards in my backyard changes dependent upon the amount of sunlight in the day? Does that make sense? I don't know if you can see it, but there was away already. There was a little bird right here. I was trying to keep this in the background because there was a bird right here so you guys could see. But it has flown away, and sometimes you'll see a lizard. So if you see one, let me know. Hopefully that happens. That'll be awesome. Lizard just crawls around so you guys can see. Okay, so that's what we're going to be covering today, study of ecosystems. But of course, it would not be a lesson from myself, from Miss Hamblen, without a little jingle. So without further ado, I'm going to go over the hierarchy of organisms. I would like you guys to focus on this graphic right here on the screen. Ecosystem, community, population, and individual. Think about individual as another term we like to use, which is going to be organism. Make that a little bigger so you guys can see it. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to think about when we're doing this right now. And then here comes my awesome jingle. I don't know if you guys are ready for it. All right, got the boom, 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 got the boom, 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 got the ecosystems. We got communities. We got the populations. And then organisms. Say what? We got that E-C-P-O. E-C-P-O. All right. Without further ado, we can continue on now. So if we break those different categories down, I know you guys are probably blowing up the chat right now. If we break that down, we can start with the smallest on that hierarchy scale, which is going to be the organism. That is one individual within the population. So if we use like for the ecosystem that we break down, if we're using like the Serengeti National Park, sure, that's in Africa, we can say one individual is the lion. Okay. As we move up, that's one species, one organism within there. So maybe it's the head honcho lion, whatever that's called. I don't remember. Whatever Mufasa is in Lion King. Okay, that's going to be our one organism, Mufasa. However, if we look at the whole population, that would be all of Mufasa's pride. All of the population of organisms that are the same species. Okay, so the whole pride of lions, Mufasa, Simba, Nala, Scar, all of them. I don't remember Mufasa's wife's name, but all of those organisms. Okay, all of those lions, rather, not the organisms. Okay, when we think about community, this is a really good one. Community is all of the populations of species living together. So it's not only Mufasa and Simba and Nala and Scar, but it's also Zazu and Timon and Pumbaa and all the other organisms that are existing in that community. So when you think about that, like the beginning opening scene of Lion King where all of those animals are coming together, that would be a community. Okay, communities also include plants. So we have to make sure we're thinking about plants too. Plants are living organisms, okay? And as we move forward past the plants, past the living organisms, we move into the ecosystem as a whole. That's going to include the biotic and abiotic factors, okay? Not just the living organisms, but also the non-living. Okay, so it's going to have their physical environment, the rocks, the water, the amount of rocks, the amount of water, the amount of air, the amount of carbon dioxide, the amount of sunlight you're getting, okay? That's going to be our ecosystem. We can have ecosystems of different scales. We talked about this a lot, or not a lot, but we did talk about it last week in the STEM case with the pond versus like the entire giant ecosystem surrounding the pond. Okay, we can have a very small to a very large. Quick little tie back into that word of ecology. So again, ecology is how they're all interacting or how they're all relating and dependent upon one another. When we talk about ecosystems, we also have to talk about interdependence. Okay, this is the mutual dependence between two or more things. Okay, in this situation, we can look at bacteria right here, maybe our decomposers, and our snakes. Okay, snakes are going to depend on those decomposers to break down food and allow better soil and living environment in order for your plants to grow. If your plants don't grow, okay, we don't have the seeds right here, like the acorns, for the mouse to eat. If the mouse don't have food, the snake can't eat the mice. So again, it's all connected. So it takes place amongst the biotic and abiotic factors of the ecosystem. So as we move past this, we can get into a couple of quick little checks. So I'm going to put an image on the next screen. I want you guys in the chat to tell me, what do you think this is a picture of? And it's really easy to be like, oh, that's a plant. Okay, so if I don't tell you anything about it, it's very easy to look at it and say, oh, it's green, it looks like it has roots, it's growing from somewhere in the ground, it's going to be a plant. Okay, if I give you a little bit more information, and I say, it was taken with an electron microscope and zoomed in 50 times, now you might have a little more background and be able to think, okay, maybe it's not a plant. What do you guys think this is? Tell me in the chat. I'm going to pause the video real fast and I want you guys to answer in the chat. What do you think this is? All right, boom, there it is. That is a human eyelash. Can you guys believe that? Oh my goodness. And it gives you the heebie-jeebies, right? So this is an example, and I have this in here so you guys can understand the importance of scale when we're talking about ecosystems. You have to have a scale. You have to be able to understand what size organisms, living organisms, non-living factors are going to exist within ecosystems. And here's another example of an ecosystem you might not know right off the top of your head. And that is one right here. So if we look at this, you can see there are crab larvae, diatoms, bacteria, fish eggs, zooplankton, and worms. However, this is zoomed in 25 times, sorry. Not as much as the last one. This is zoomed in 25 times under a microscope. What do you guys think this is? Put your guesses in the chat. I'm going to pause the video again. Okay, so giving you guys a little more background, you probably had a better idea of what this was since I told you what was in it. But yeah, this is seawater. Doesn't that creep you out that that's what you're swimming in when you go in the ocean? Ooh. And scale is important, making sure you know the scale of the ecosystem that I'm talking about. Macroscopic ecosystems are going to be on a much larger scale, okay? They can be from a small freshwater pond to an entire rainforest, okay? In either of those systems, you're going to find biotic and abiotic factors. You're going to see competition existing between organisms, that interrelatedness, and we'll also see those predator-prey relationships, okay? Today, what we're going to focus on is how the competition and the interrelatedness of all the organisms in an ecosystem lead to a term called carrying capacity, okay? The basic definition is right here on the screen. It is when a population meets its maximum capacity and it starts to level off, okay? So any population, whatever it is going to grow typically like it does right here on this image, okay? Like we can see here. You can see it starts with none and then it'll grow exponentially. We can see it just continuing that uptick on the graph until a certain point. At one point, it's going to just level off. And that is what we call the carrying capacity of a population. Okay, and again, this is the population. So to go back to our vocab terms, population is the group of organisms that all belong to the same species, living in the same place at the same time. Okay, so carrying capacity applies to populations, and it's where there are factors, whether it's another organism, whether it's the amount of sunlight, the amount of space they have available. So it could be biotic or abiotic that are going to impact that population's size, going to limit the growth, okay? That's what we're going to be focusing on today. That's what we're going to see. So keep this in the back of your mind. Scale is important. Interrelatedness of organisms is important. And of course, E-C-P-O. Signing off now in my living room. Have a great rest of your time.